What's the strangest thing you've ever been caught doing? In third grade, I went to the bathroom, and thinking I was alone, put my hands against the wall, leaned forward, and let out a long gigantic fart. Afterwards I let out a nice big sigh of relief and pleasure. I turned around that some other kids had come in as I was releasing that massive fart. Did not look them in the eyes as I left. Edit, just to clarify due to comments, it's not the fart that was strange, no matter how long it may have been. It's the hands against the wall, prepping my body to let it rip, and moaning afterwards. Being a teacher is tough. I kinda did this. I wear headphones at work and I ran out to my car, and as I was leaning in I ripped a monster-ass trumpet. When I got out of the car some lady was walking her dog 2 feet away. I hadn't heard her because of the headphones, but the look of shock was enough. I walked by like I didn't realize she was there. I was 14 getting it on with my hand in surround sound headphones. My dad walks in on me half asleep and mumbles, "What are you doing, boy?" and shuts the door, but then comes back in to verify what he's witnessed and has the audacity to say, "You playin' with her meat?" Anyone else read those quotes in the voice of Foghorn Leghorn? I actually laughed out loud. That is amazing. Imagined your dad was Kratos. I was playing VR chat with a skeleton skin on and I kept doing stupid dances that may or may not have involved a jerk-off motion. I heard my wife's voice from outside the headset go, "What the fuck?" Was there a video of your wife's sister involved in any way? Did your wife know you were going to be doing VR chatting, or did she just walk into the room to see Skeletor doing his jerk-off dance? You cheated on you wife, didn't ya? I wanted to try to drink like a dog. I put a bowl on the floor and filled it with Fanta. My dad walked into my room where I was kneeling on the floor with my tongue in the bowl. He has never mentioned it since. Edit, so this kind of blew up. I'm literally so new to Reddit that I never expected this. I think I should clarify because so many people have assumed I am a girl. I'm glad so many people found this funny, it actually makes me really happy. Edit 2, because so many people have asked me, I was 14 or so. Edit 3, it was normal orange Fanta. My sister asked why I kept texting so much and it's because I was responding to all of you. I told her about the question and she asked me, did you tell people about that time you were caught drinking like a dog? So apparently she knows about it, and has never mentioned it to me. I asked her how she knew that's what my answer was and she said she thinks about it all the time and it's the most bizarre thing I've ever done. This has been a fun experience. Edit 4, so many edits I know, I'm sorry. I got my first Reddit gold and silver. Thanks so much guys. This is my favorite one, LMAO. The strangest part of this is the decision to fill the bowl with Fanta. I was in standstill traffic, i.e. car had been turned off, people were loitering outside of their cars, and I had a baby squirrel that I was hand-rearing in my car. I fed it some puppy milk formula from a bottle, looked up and realized I had an audience of about 20 people gawking at me. Puppy milk. Maester, give him milk of the puppy. It took me a bit to realize what hand-rearing meant and I'm relieved that it is what it is and not what I thought it might be. Thanks for the smile. How sweet. Arguing with myself, well, not myself, the actual person just wasn't there, so I was standing in the mirror. With animated facial expressions and gestures. Lips moving, but with no sound. I now reserve these hypothetical arguments for the shower. When I am home alone. This hurts because I do this every day and if I ever got caught I would fucking die. I was called in to assist my wife with putting together a friend's baby shower when her helper bailed at the last minute. My job was to prep the dirty diaper game, which, if you've not heard of it, is played like this: an assortment of name-brand candy bars and chocolates are unwrapped and then mushed into a diaper so as to resemble a baby's dirty diaper. The game participants then assess the contents of each dirty diaper and have a guess at what candy bar might be lurking within. Whoever has the most correct answers wins. Now, seeing that I was called in at the last minute, I had to complete the task while at work. So there I was, in my office, 15 or so diapers laying open on my desk, sleeves rolled up, hurriedly rolling what appeared to be a gooey, nutty turd in my hands, when my boss walks in. We make eye contact. He glances at my work, looks at me as though I am dangerously unstable, then slowly steps back out of the office without saying a word. We've never spoken of it. Op looks at his boss. I must feast. Why do y'all make baby showers so weird? Sir, you can only ask me to do so much before I snap. You would have had either an easy workload from there on, been out of a job or had your own little room with padded walls. I once saw an old bloke slowly walk near a tree, have his hat pushed off by one of the low-hanging branches, then proceed to, slowly, pick up the hat, declare, "I avenge myself," in a neutral tone, and then break a twig off the tree before slowly walking off. I really think this one is neat. Thanks for sharing. That's fucking hilarious. This guy's the boss. R. Humans in the wild. Walking across the road to the dumpster with a bag of trash. One arm pulled into my hoodie. Flapping it like a wing, and slowly moving forward while going in circles. Saying to myself, flying in circles, realizing that I was not circling in the right direction for the wing I had and reversing to circle oppositewise. Saying, flying in circles the wrong way. Come back inside and find that my whole family had been watching me. This sounds like something me or my best friend would do. Also thank you for this BC. I laughed and I've been having a really rough week. Reminds me of how my sister would sing "No One Can Hear Me" at top volume from the bathroom when she was like 3 and then would alter it to "No one but LYNNISAMYSTERY can hear me" when we yelled back that we could indeed hear her. I picked up a pizza, was super excited to eat it, so I put it in the passenger seat and said something along the lines of "I'm gonna take you home and fuck you up," hyping myself and the pizza up of course. I then saw that my window, and the window of the next car was open. A woman watched and heard me talk dirty to a pizza. Another time I accidentally made eye contact with a woman while I was licking my lips after taking a sip of an Arizona tea, and she looked extremely offended by that. That was all in her head though, I'm still in denial. Arizona. Oh man. So I must have been about 12. I was in the car with my mom. To set the scene, it was a 3-row soccer mom van and I was in the second row behind the passenger seat with my mom driving. Well, since I was 12 I got my random hormone boner, strange and awkward enough, right? Well, I decided that I would pretend I was driving and that my boner was the stick shift. Mom caught me. This scene needs to make it into a movie someday. I'd assume the appropriate response was a whooping. I was once caught by an ex-girlfriend playing her cat like a banjo. I had both Slushy's front paws in my hand and was strumming on his tummy. The cat was purring so loud it made her come in to see what was going on. It was a long awkward pause followed by, "Are you playing my cat?" This is awesome. What happened afterward? Did you make an excuse or just say yes that was what was occurring? Holy shit, my dad does this with our pets because he can no longer lift his adult children. He calls it kitty air guitar. I was like 13 or 14 in my room alone, my window wide opened, when I started to wonder if I ever got kissed what the other person would be seeing from their perspective, so I went up to my closet, which had those floor-length mirrors, and I started kissing the mirror, opening my eyes every once in a while to see if I looked at all attractive doing this. One of those times I opened my eyes I saw my brother outside my wide open window through the mirror looking at me with such a confused look on his face, I screamed and fell to the floor and hid in my room for a while. I was a kid and creeped out by cousin's creepy doll. One morning me and the doll were alone in her room and I grabbed the doll and started to shake it, and while I was yelling at it that I knew it could talk, my cousin walked in and was like, "What are you doing?" And I brought the doll close to me and caressed it and said I was just kidding. She kept the doll away from me after that. I stand with your brother and your cousin. When I was around 10 years old I was getting curious about sex, so I decided to look it up in the dictionary. Wouldn't you know it, my ultra-conservative mother walks in the room, so I try to play it off like I was looking up the Haida Native American tribe. She called me out for being in the S's, but I doubled down and pretended I was possibly dyslexic. What a tangled web I wove. This reminds me of all the doll orgies I would host. I remember once my mom unexpectedly walked in, so I hurriedly sat on a pile of naked, pointy Barbies and Kens as if that would hide the obvious. Had a coworker that was working at a customer site. He had a creepy little crush on one of the women that worked there, but it was apparently innocent enough that no one really cared. Until one day the woman came back from lunch and saw him pick up the cushion from her chair and sniff it. He was asked to leave. One day the woman came back from lunch and saw him pick up the cushion from her chair and sniff it. I can imagine some dude with his coffee watching. Ew. Bad move. A coworker caught me sniffing her chair. I was using it for a meeting since she was supposed to be out for the day, and her cube was right beside the conference room. I spilled coffee on it, and I cleaned it well since she was in that cube farthest from the break room since she hated the smell of coffee, so I cleaned it well. She came in to get something, and got a good laugh from catching me. Okay, this one might be the weirdest of all. It's like an adolescent boy touching his crush's swimsuit when it's hanging out to dry, except so much worse because it's in an office setting and you're adults. Yes, I did touch my crush's swimsuit when I was an adolescent boy. No, I did not get caught. When I was about 14 I started to cum a lot, and so whenever I jacked off, I had to come up with something that would make it easier for me to cover the tracks, if you know what I am saying. So I started wrapping my dick with toilet paper. It looked like a mummy, but it did the trick. A mummy dick. So one time, I am in the zone in my toilet, jacking it, watching some adult content on my PSP, and all of a sudden my mom comes in and hands me the phone. Apparently my friend couldn't find a better time to call me. So 10 years later I still remember the look on my mama's face when she saw me with my PSP in left hand and a mummy dick in the right one. Why would she just come into the bathroom though? And why wouldn't you have had the door locked? Yay, that's really mom's bad, there. The bathroom is the one place we're entitled to privacy in most circumstances. I watched Kids for a Living as a nanny years back, and it was like a standing rule: the one place you may go without permission and the one place you can go to get complete privacy was the bathroom. Mainly because under a certain age and with potty training and all, the bathroom should be a safe space they never feared entering or being in. But also because I have zero interest in going into the bathroom when someone is in there. Running in on all fours up the stairs in underwear. Didn't realize my best friend had already come over, and I ran into him at dick level. Activate instant kill. That sounds like some grudge shit right there. Was at the driveway at Wendy's and had exact change. As I was switching the money one hand to another, the quarter slipped in between my legs and I went to grab it, but it slipped down further and the guy comes to the window as I have one hand full with cash and the other hand in between my legs trying to grab the quarter. He looked at me and said, "I'm not even going to ask," and I just said, "The quarter fell between my legs, I have exact change." I got it and handed it to him, pulled up to the next window to get my food, and it said what he thought he saw me doing. So embarrassing. This would have been a lot more weird if he sniffed the quarter afterward. If you have ever worked the drive-thru, then you know at some point you are going to see some weird ass shit. My most memorable is the chick with a strap-on dildo on. It was meant to be a prank, but at the time I was so tired I didn't even react. I just stood there and stared. She was clothed, if you were wondering that. I was licking the bottle of empty Gatorade saying, "Damn, I wish I left some for today." Read this as licking the butthole of empty Gatorade. The lady at the front desk just glared at my laughter snort. Sitting on the floor of my kitchen with the lights turned off while making mac and cheese. It doesn't help that the roommate who caught me is the one who would always find me sitting on the floor eating animal crackers or cereal out of the box. Mouse got access to the keyboard again. Me, newlywed to my then husband. Had to leave our apartment and move in with his somewhat disabled mother. 2 weeks in, he and I are having sexy times in our bedroom. Specifically, he's going downtown and eating at the Y. Mill knocks and immediately opens the door, saying, "Dinner's on the table." Awkward pause. Everyone freezes. His face is buried in my crotch. She stands shocked still, then huffs, and says, "Well, I see you've already eaten," slams the door and goes away. We giggle, recoup, and go to eat. Most awkward meal of my life. "Well, I see you've already eaten. You have been blessed with a great mother-in-law." "Well, I see you've already eaten." Fuck, that got me face with tears of joy. My friends and I did some questionably gay pranks back in the day as pubescent boys. Moon in front of the TV screen, stuff like that. One day I snuck into my friend's room, he had glass doors to the front yard, and got ready. I got naked and put on a sombrero, and equipped my pecker in the wide end of a vuvuzela. Laid in his bed in wait. Few minutes later his mom walks in during a family function. I was mortified, she either didn't notice or just ignored it and walked out. Was I caught? Too afraid to ask. I think as long as you either stay perfectly still or put your hands over your eyes, you're invisible. One time my then girlfriend's mom caught me pissing in her kitchen sink when I was bombed out on Ambien. I had no recollection of it the next morning. Ambien. In college, in lab, was coding to get double linked list to work. When my program worked, I hugged the monitor and kissed it. It's CRT monitor, so yeah, I'm old smiley face. Right at that moment janitor guy walks in and sees it all and has this puzzled look. It's CRT monitor, so yeah, I'm old smiley face. Whatever, those would hug so much better than a damn flat screen. Popping my friend's back by picking him up from behind and bouncing him repeatedly. A teacher walked into the room and we all froze. We all froze. Ah yes, the Drax technique. Contrary to most porno scenes, getting caught masturbating by your sister-in-law is not ideal. Yeah, no kidding, I'd rather be caught by a direct blood relative. Giving the middle finger to an inanimate object. I do this all the time. Especially when I am gaming and lose. My TV will get the middle finger. I once bumped into a parked car and turned to look at it while raising my arms in that "the fuck you going to do about it" kind of way. Unbeknownst to me, all my friends saw. All through high school I was always greeted with, "You wanna fight or something?" I just wanted to see what I bumped into. Rewiring a microwave to go past its automatic shutoff temperatures to make neat rocks and glass out of rocks I found in the backyard. It wasn't my family's microwave, and my friend wasn't home at the time. His father just stared at me, as I and his kitchen were covered in clay and pumice dust. And in his microwave, his only microwave, my friend was due back from the hardware store in 5 minutes. Those were some very uncomfortable minutes. The dad still uses the microwave for hot pockets. It's probably not the safest thing we've ever done. At least the kilns are coming out nice. I was trying to get my neck to crack because it was tight. I was turning it quick to the side and saying, "Crack, crack damn it," as I was doing it for probably 10 seconds or so. To a bystander I was just making awkward head movements and professing my love for crack. I once dropped a full liter of milk on the kitchen island and it made me give up and just lay down below the milk waterfall that was created and just drink it. This happened at 3 a.m. and mother witnessed it as she was also awake and thirsty. Edit, I just noticed this can really get out of context. Without that last line it was a good story. That last line really cracked me up. Trying to pry ribs off a roadkill deer carcass. For context, I'm a bone collector. Most of my collection comes from oddity shops, but sometimes you just find a really good opportunity on the side of a highway. I never did get those ribs, though. I was so embarrassed I immediately drove off. Sir, what in the absolute fuck do you think you're doing? Trying to pry ribs off a roadkill deer carcass. Why? Like to eat? I'm a bone collector. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble buying that. Hello fellow collector. Had a similar occurrence at the army. Story time I guess? So it was one of my last courses at the Swiss Army, and we were stationed in the Swiss-German mountains. We had just finished our daily training and were due to get shipped back to the barracks by 6-ton, a giant truck basically that looks more like you'd pile in cows for the slaughterhouse with it, and it was late because it was already pulling double shifts with another company. So our CPT decided that we'd trek the way back after we got lifted down from the mountaintop tank range, so we were high up to shoot, all good till there. Heading through the forest, some fields, lost single house farms etc. Fun times honestly, was a pretty region too so there was some stuff to look at. We're passing a small river, and I noticed what I initially thought was a pack of mushrooms. Turns out upon closer examination it was a flipped over deer skull, the dome shapes were the teeth and neck bones, that I of course picked up and started cleaning off while still on the walk back. Except as things happened it was exactly 50 meters down that the CPT called out for a break. Needless to say it was weird to explain to him how and why in the nine hells I am carrying a skull out of the blue. Now it sits in an IKEA dome glass on my fridge. One time my girlfriend and I had just left the house. She then remembered she needed something and went back in. Now, our house, Golders Green, London, was semi-detached with the neighbor's house. The neighbor's motorbike was kind of in our shared front yard. Since I was waiting for my girlfriend, I decided to sit on the motorbike. I heard the front door of the house close behind me, so, trying to be funny for my girlfriend, I leaned over the tank of the motorbike and started pretending to rev the throttle and making vroom, vroom motorbike noises. Like, really getting into it. I didn't hear any laughing, so I turned around and it was actually my neighbor standing there with this WTF look on his face. Hopefully you knew the neighbor well and he was okay with you sitting on his bike. I would be less than happy to find one of my neighbors sat on one of my motorbikes without permission. Slapping my belly and listening to sound it made. At least they found it funny. Having an argument with my houseplants about their watering schedules. They had their own voices too. Me and a friend went to the movies, thought the place was empty so we're running up and down the stairs, in and out of aisles, flailing our arms and whatnot. Turns out there was a man sat in the far back corner the whole time just watching us. I just sat down and wanted to die for the next 2 hours. Having a full-blown debate with my dog. How is that strange? I lived down the street from my best friend for years. He enjoyed calling me and telling me anytime he saw my dad and our dog jogging by because my dad would be in a full-blown argument with the dog. As a pet sitter, sometimes you get lonely when the majority of your interactions are with animals. So, to combat this I sometimes pretend to be the inner voice of whatever dog I'm walking, responding out loud to whatever they're sniffing or whatever grabs their attention. Each dog has her own weird voice as well. More than once people have walked around a corner to hear me doing this. I have a really weird habit of needing to jump up and down while blasting music in my ears. It's the only way I enjoy listening to music. I have no idea why. Obviously, I only do this in private, but because I am blasting music, I've been walked in on a couple of times, sometimes wearing only underwear whilst I jump up and down like an idiot. Sniffing ear wax. Yours or someone else's? One time I got drunk and fell asleep after masturbating with a fleshlight. I had a dream that the building I was in was on fire, and ran out of my apartment. The door was one of the ones that locks automatically when it is closed and you need the keycard to get in. It was about 6 a.m. and anyone could have been coming out of their apartment in my hallway at any second, so I was banging on my door, naked with a lubed-up peen for 10 minutes before my roommate woke up and let me in. It didn't even register to him that I was naked until laid back in his bed. He shouted, "Why the hell you naked?" I just responded by laughing. I will never live that down. Edit. Thanks for all the karma, guys, glad my embarrassment could be of some use. As an added bonus, I was in the military at the time, so when I say I will never live that down, I mean that a lot of the people that I worked with found out, and I don't believe any of them forget about a story like that anytime soon. My dad walked in on my and my brother vacuuming our dicks into the tube attachment. He just shook his head and walked out of the room. No TLDR tilde, but it's worth it. I was working nights at this liquor store. I step outside and hit my pipe and get high AF. Then I go back in and I get to stocking shelves. Well, high ass me, for a reason I still do not understand, got "Jules, you were meant for me" stuck in my head. I have no idea why. This was in like 2004, long after Jules' career had peaked and faded. Anyway, I'm all stoned and singing "Jewel" loudly while stocking the cooler when I decide to have fun with it and sing it almost as though it was a YouTube apology video. So now I'm cry singing "Jules, you were meant for me" at the top of my lungs, when a customer pops their head around the corner and says, "Are you open?" And "Are you okay?" Apparently our door beeper had gone on the fritz. I tried to explain I was just stoned and effing around. But they were having none of it and continued to look at me as though I'd lost my damn mind, not just for the remainder of that transaction, but since they were a regular for years after. Dreams last for so long, even after you're gone. When I was going through puberty, I started getting a lot of hair on my ass, which I hated. So I started shaving my ass. Once my older brother decided to try and throw a cup of cold water on me in the shower. He rips open the curtain to me slightly bent over with shaving cream on my ass and a razor in my hand. He stops for a second, throws the cup anyway, then proceeds to laugh uncontrollably and tell everyone in the house what he caught me doing. This is fucking great. Also, your brother is an asshole. Still shaving your ass these days? I tried it once in my early 20s. Never again. In basic training, we got back to our bunks late, were all exhausted and my body felt broken. Instead of taking a shower, I decided to clean myself with baby wipes. Usually nobody is paying attention to you because they all have their own things to do, but someone watched me wipe my groin area, under my pants, and then proceed to stuff it in a drawer in my bed because I was too tired to get up and throw it away. The person watching me said, "WTF, are you saving that for later or something?" I was the pet of the day. I mean, by my best friend made me naked and put a dog collar and went a walk with me in his house, and I was the pet of a day. And his parents caught us and said, "WTF, I couldn't speak until I got home." Sounds like a pretty interesting friendship. Who hasn't been there, am I right? Holding up the pee inside my foreskin to charge up the stream, and then release just at breaking point. I was 10, didn't lock the door. My brother happened to walk by. Been doing it ever since, gets you going more powerfully. Did this once at a school sleepover, but on the outside of my shorts when I had to pee really bad. Ended up explosively peeing my pants. Making water balloons on a budget. I stopped at a store to buy a baby shower gift and coffee supplies. Without thinking, I bought just 3 items: 1, a bag of sugar, 2, a bag of coffee beans, and 3, a breast pump. It's an experiment. I was caught masturbating in the garden by who? By my grandma loudly crying face. Why in the garden, whyy? When I was like 13, I had my 2 friends, female, showing me, male, on my stomach what a happy trail was. Their dad walked into the room with me having me shirt pulled up and the 2 girls touching my trail. Was really awkward cause up to that point I'm pretty sure he thought I was gay. Edit, a word. It was 3 a.m. and 15-year-old me was taking a shit and got a blood nose. Now for context, I get real bad nose bleeds and usually just keep my head up and it goes away. Well, I was bored. So I thought, what if I just keep my head down and let it drip? I know. Very stupid. Blood was all over the floor. I had every intent to just clean it up with tissues and flush it, no evidence of my little experiment. What I didn't know was that my mum was actually awake and was waiting for me to finish in the toilet for her turn. I didn't lock the door because it was 3 a.m. and I didn't think I needed to. Well, she opens the door. Semendaman 16 Why are you taking so L? She sees the blood, starts freaking TF out. Thinks I'm either dead or dying. I start yelling trying to explain myself. Mum starts crying thinking she's gonna lose her son. My sister walks out her room from the crying and the yelling. Sees the blood. Freaks TF out as well. After a bit of panic I eventually explained my stupid experiment. I cleaned it up and we all went to bed. But I don't think anybody slept after that traumatic experience. Mopping the ceiling in the women's bathroom. God, I'm hoping two things. 1. Really hoping you're not a janitor. 2. That this was at some sort of high society function, and you had to come out all wet and clothes askew making a scene, and so you just shout, "Do not go in there." Woo, and crop dust a few times, maybe squirt some water out of your pockets. This isn't me, but this story is so weird. My grandma was once caught by a UPS delivery guy in the process of biting her toenails. She was in the sunroom with the screen door open, and the guy walked up to the door and witnessed that. Rip Granny, you weirdo. Pretty sure I was beating it once while still on mic on Discord. My mom caught me masturbating while watching a Minecraft Let's Play. Yeah, she still thinks I was watching porn and changed it to Minecraft at the speed of light, but really I just wanted to watch that Let's Play badly. Still awkward with her. Caught in the garden singing "Where'd You Go" by Fort Minor looking sorrowful by my sister after a bird didn't return to her eggs in the nest she'd made in our shed. One morning I woke up strangely early. Around 5 or 6, without an alarm. I was bored and proceeded to lift up my top mattress, and just lay between the bottom and top ones. Mom walked in, extremely confused. I couldn't really explain, I didn't know what I was doing myself. She asked if I needed help. I wash my booty hole every day and I dry it with the pair of underwear from the previous day after I get out of the shower. That way none of my towels are ass towels where someone's face might go someday. Call me weird. One time my ex walked in on me in the middle of standing Captain Morgan on the side of the tub, wiping my ass with my underwear and immediately accused me of cleaning my asshole with my underwear. Took a month to convince her that wasn't the case and get her to stop making fun of me for it. I think you know. Happy Cake Day by the way. I had a coworker who looked a lot like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I mentioned it to him once, and he said he gets that a lot. I got to talking to him about beef jerky, and how I had recently tried it for the first time. I explained that I wanted to try it because it's probably the closest human equivalent to dog treats. Of course I never will, but I've always been curious about eating dog treats. And just as I finish that sentence, the general manager walks by and catches the end of what I had just said. I proceeded to laugh and walk away because I love when people walk in on conversations at the most confusing possible moment. Microwaving my cereal before eating it. There's no place in hell for degenerates like you. When we were in our 20s, a good song came on the radio and I was trying to make my brother dance to it. I put my hands on his shoulders and was moving him back and forth. My parents saw this and had a strange look on their faces. I asked what was wrong and they said, "We thought you were choking him." Guess I should learn better dance moves. Sort of absent-mindedly blowing on a kettle to cool it down before pouring the water over the coffee. My wife thought that was pretty funny. Rummaging through my then-boyfriend ex's laundry basket looking for his ID card and getting caught by his roommate. IRC, I was caught holding his pants with a "I can explain" expression. I had a spare hour between classes and he didn't have his ID card, meaning he'd have to walk home after work instead of riding the bus. So I rode the bus to his house, got his ID, then got back in time for class. It's funny that I can laugh about this and feel nothing for him now. I'm healing and I'm happy. When I bought my first pair of night vision goggles, I had them delivered to the TV station I worked at, not trusting my neighbors to leave my crap alone. So, I took a break and tried them out in the only truly dark room I could find. The men's room. A coworker came in, flicked on the lights, and was startled to find me in the middle of the room, blinded by the sudden flash of normal light, brushing my teeth in the pitch dark with night vision goggles. I had to go talk to HR about it. He was freaked out.